Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desata. Just 1 minute. Vasudevaya Some problem. Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum namvite girim yat kupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarine. Hare Krishna. So we are into 16th chapter and verse number 21. We saw on Saturday, Krishna told that lust, anger and greed, these are the three gates to the hell. And we saw that these three qualities make us to act in a way that we go away from the spiritual realizations. So these qualities make us act in that way. Now Krishna in this verse tells, if you avoid such activities, what happens? Eter vimuktah kaunteya.
Eter vimuktah kaunteya.
Tamo dvarai stribhir naraha.
Tamo dvarai stribhir naraha.
Acharati atmana shreyas.
Acharati atmana shreyas.
Tato yati param gatim.
Tato yati param gati.
So
Eter vimuktah kaunteya. Tamo dvarai stribhir naraha. Acharati atmanas shreyas. Tato yati param gatim.
Eter vimukta kaunteya tamodvaraistrabirnaraha acharatyatmanas shreyas tato yati param gatim.
okay. So let us see translation and Srila Prabhupada's purport. The man who has escaped these three gates of hell, Vasana Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination purport. One should be very careful of these three enemies to human life: lust, anger, and greed. The more a person is freed from lust, anger, and the more his existence becomes pure. Then he can follow the rules and regulations enjoined in the Vedic literature. By following the regulative principles of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. If one is so fortunate by such practice to rise to the platform of Krishna consciousness, then success is guaranteed for him. In the Vedic literature, the ways of action and reactions are prescribed to enable one to come to stage of purification. The whole method is based on giving up lust, greed, and anger. By cultivating knowledge of this process, one can be elevated to highest position of self-realization. This self-realization is perfected in devotional service. In that devotional service, the liberation of the conditioned soul is guaranteed. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, there are instituted the four orders of life and four status of life called caste system and the spiritual order system. These are different rules and regulations. There are different rules and regulations for different caste and divisions of society. And if a person is able to follow them, he will be automatically raised to the highest platform of spiritual realization. Then he can have liberation without a doubt. So, if we avoid lust, anger, and greed, or the activities which are whose origin is lust, anger, and greed, then those activities actually take us to the higher realizations. So Krishna is telling that please vimukta, be free. Vimukta, mukta means free. So vimukta means completely free. So he said, be free from all these activities which are based on these three things. And then your actions will take you to liberation. So this is a very understandable and practical thing. Anger, we know. In anger, we do the activities. Those are not always uh, as per Shastra or Dharma. Or in common sense also, even if we Shastra Dharma we don't say, but in anger we do the activities which are not suitable for that situation and that person, because our intelligence is not working. So we should avoid anger. It's difficult, but it needs a lot of practice. Similarly, lust and greed. So the more desires we have, and if they are not fulfilled, we get angry. So the main uh, connection is the desires. We expect something to happen, and we expect something not to happen. So in both the cases, there is surprise. So the things will work not as per our desires or our wish. They will be working as per the law and destiny. So we may like something or we may not like something, but that anyway comes to us. And when it comes to us, it becomes frustrating, and then we become angry. And in anger, we do activities which are in normal sense also very difficult to cover up, or very difficult to once we do something, it's very difficult to minimize the result or minimize the effect of that. So the minimum desires that we keep, easier is to control all these three. So we have desires, unlimited number of desires. And if we try to stop each and every desire, it will be very difficult for us, because you have to work 24 hours on observing which desire is coming, so I should act or not act. So it will be very troublesome for any jiva to monitor 24 hours what's coming in our mind, what are the thoughts, what are the desires coming in our mind. But that can be controlled in a way that engage all our desires into something higher. So engage everything into Lord's service. So even if by this method, actually the liberation is guaranteed. So we can take examples of demons also. Even Kamsa, when he came to know that eighth child of Devki is going to kill me, from that moment he was continuously thinking of that eighth child. And after Krishna was born and he was taken to Gokula, and Kamsa came to know that he's in Gokul, so he sent so many demons to Vrindavan to kill Krishna. And he, though Kamsa didn't come himself, he was in Mathura, but he was always thinking how I can get rid of Krishna. Even Hiranyakashipu was also continuously thinking how I can make my son Prahlad stop doing worship of Vishnu. So they were continuously thinking about this thing. So just by thinking about Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu got liberated because Prahlad requested. And just thinking of Krishna, Kamsa also got liberated. So just by thinking, of course, Hiranyakashipu was liberated in the next birth when Krishna came. But by thinking, we engage our mind in thinking about the God, how I can serve the God, how I can be used, how can I use my body, my mind, my intelligence in service of Lord. By that, actually, we will stop the unnecessary reaction or action based on our desires. So the Shastra says this is one way you can actually control your desires. And when the desires are in right direction, then actually you will not notice or not act for the material desires, because you will get the happiness from the higher desires. I'm saying this, but it's better to experience. And also we have to accept it that in this conditioned state of life, it is not possible for us to 24 hours think of God, or 24 hours think of service, or 24 hours think how I can utilize. There are devotees who can do that, but there are devotees who cannot do that. But even if we spontaneously start thinking, whenever we consciously notice that I'm not thinking of God, okay, then we think, then we remember God. By doing this, we actually, by practicing this day after day, we will get used to it. It may take in this lifetime, or maybe next lifetime, maybe after 1 million lifetime, but it will happen. So what we have to do is we have to just keep trying to remember God and engage our mind in that, so that we don't react to the material desires. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna that, Arjuna, you are supposed to fight, and that is your duty. That is dharma and karma also. So you do it. So you don't, Arjuna don't should not desire that I will not fight because I have to kill my superiors. I will not fight. That is not a correct way. So you don't go to that path. Rather, you check what is your dharma and what is your karma, and you act in that way. That way, you will be liberated. But if you keep desire that I don't want to get burden of papa or misery because of killing my guru and all, then you should give it up, because it's a war and you are a kshatriya. So you should first follow kshatriya dharma, right? So uh, Krishna is telling to all of us that lust is the, of course, in third chapter, Krishna told lust is the cause of all the problems, main cause of all the problems. And because of lust comes greed and anger. So we should consciously try to be away from these three things. If we control lust, then actually other things will automatically get controlled. But when Krishna says that, or Arjuna says that it is very difficult to control the mind, that means controlling the lust, anger, and greed is not also easy. We have to keep practicing continuously. And someday, by mercy of God, we will be able to do it. So Krishna will conclude this chapter in next, I think, 2 shlokas. So basically, how this activity, demonic activity and divine activities differentiated, that Krishna will tell and then conclude this chapter. So we'll see it tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any comments from anyone? Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. We'll see you tomorrow.